A lot of times we have so much going on in life that it just distracts us from calmness. And it's like we can't find a way to relax so that we can kind of categorize everything. Everything gets jumbled up. You become frustrated. You have all these different thoughts. And sometimes you're not even able to control those thoughts.
Housing is mental health, food is mental health, having friends is mental health.
So if you're able to stay mentally healthy, then you're able to cope with everyday stresses. It means a lot to be mentally healthy, especially living with HIV. It really is important.
I tend to be too much. So people want to medicate me. So that's a challenge because I do suffer from anxiety, and I've had traumatic experiences, but it doesn't necessarily mean my go-to is to medicate me so that I'm sedated. My brain is foggy enough with everything that I go through on a daily basis, just life.
As a child growing up with or living, thriving with HIV, they acknowledge that there's a gap, right? That we have to talk to these kids and love on them and help them grow. I was so used to like knowing what to say to get out of it at that point because I didn't know how to identify the abuse I was going through. I didn't know that that was a part of it. I didn't know HIV stigma was a part of it and a lack of support I had around it. I didn't know any of that at 10 years old or 14 years old. And it was hard because even my partner couldn't understand, right? Like he was a brown man, cis man, and it was hard for him to see the panic because I couldn't paint him a picture of my whole lived experience. That's a big picture.
I was just mostly doing like support groups and going there. And then my mental illness showed up in the form of anxiety and depression. So then that's when I called. My county has a mental health access line, and
Just experiencing a lot of trauma in my life, and having different thoughts, suicidal thoughts, depression. And as I got older, dealing with more things as life came at me and I had to just embrace life, I realized then, wow, mental health is real. Mental health is really real, and oh my goodness, it's affecting me. There were times in my life that, some of us casually, we talk to ourselves, and a lot of times that comes with, oh, did I do da 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 da? But no, things happen in my life to a point that I was that person walking down the street talking to myself about situations, blocking the entire world out. And, and I was quote unquote put together. So, going to work, going to school, and I would find myself in my own world by myself, just talking, having this out loud conversation about traumatic things in my life that I was dealing with. And then that right there honestly helped me to understand the homeless person, the person who is going through schizophrenia and all of these other things and taking medications for them. And I'm like, wow, this is real. And that's all I could really say.
So for me, I think one of the things that I kind of remember now when I get like down and out and depressed is like, it's a wave, like, right? And kind of like monitor myself and make sure that like, I'm not hitting the bottom of the ocean, right? That like, my water goes up and comes down, but never like depletes itself. When I'm having those hard moments, I always remind myself that this is what it feels like to grow. I always think about trees and like, especially like trees that are like hundreds of years old, right? They're big. They have like this really nice bark. They have leaves, right? And I'm like, they're solid though, right? So of course when they grow, that something's like splitting off and like breaking and things are falling, right? And so I think of like my life, my mental health as like this tree, right? And there's no way possible that it can grow without like, busting out of the seam, shedding something, or giving up something. So for me, I think that's been really helpful because I get into these spaces where I'm like, oh my gosh, like the world is horrible, I feel horrible, everything's horrible, but I'm like, but wait, what inside of you is changing at this moment? And like really like finding that thing and like focusing on it really helps me in my work.
A lot. I got a lot of support, and then I started, listening to that support and going to these support groups, and then like started engaging with my doctor, asking them questions. I get a lot of support services from like my social worker and all that. I stopped drinking. That helped, and doing 12-step programs really helped. And then what the main fundamental thing is I started making myself a priority, and I started finding ways to improve my self-care.
Happened at 20 something. So I also think I had to be ready for the counseling. He helped me to identify my triggers a lot because I had a panic attack, but he helped me to see that it's important to let the feelings out and to identify them, but to let it out, like to just let it all out, and then figure out after you're done, like done crying and screaming, getting mad, figure out where that anger is coming from.
And I'm reaching out, I'm blogging, I journal. So I'm starting to focus on the tools I have and actually take them out of the toolbox and use them. And being in this space right now, being in a good space around the women that I'm with, really grounds me. And it gives me the opportunity to really think about everything I do know, all the tools I have, and to use them. But given a stressful situation, I can't tell you I would remain calm like this. And although I know the things, sometimes I have to not sometimes, mostly I struggle through being newly off the addiction, newly into recovery partially.
I had some counseling. I had, counseling, maybe about a year, and then I decided, a few years go by, I'm going into some depression, I'm slipping, I can recognize, the change in me, I need to talk to somebody. And I would find a happy space. I would have to get away. Music is my serenity. So it would be music, it would be a beach, it would be a lake, it would be the park, and I'd have to find something. If it meant vegging out in front of the TV for days, whatever it was, I have really embraced who I am as a person. Like, I really love me. I'm in tune with myself. I recognize when there's a change, when there's some type of shift, and it's like I know what to do so that I can control that.
Mental health for me has really expanded over the last 3 years, just being in social justice spaces and just hearing about different people's experiences. Being around like-minded people who kind of like share your experiences has kind of like really helped me like think differently about like my own personal mental health, and it's actually helped me become more mentally sound. Like, there are people in my life who like reach out to me on a daily basis that just like help me process, that make me feel like loved. If I'm not mentally sound, there's no way that I can do this work, so just kind of keeping that in check.
It's very exciting, and it's very rewarding to overcome some of the things that I'm overcoming and to be doing it. And I feel like I'm doing it with a large group of people, and I have, I really have support, and that's all they show me. So that's my therapy, if I could just call them, And being a part of these groups, HINAC and the Speak Up Summit, they give me, I can just go into a safe place and try it out, and then find the love, and then I can continue to follow these people who I'm like, do I want them as mentors? Are they thoroughly good people? And that is so therapeutic for me, because then I can trust a little before I have to trust wholly with my body. So
I would just sit in a lobby area because I just felt like that was a safe space for me. And so I would just push everyone from the front desk to the physicians, everyone's buttons. And then finally, my prevention doctor is like, here, join Youth Initiative with NMAC. And I don't know, when I walked through that hotel in DC, I think I breathed for the first time. Like, something in me just switched. And I think I got the clinic feeling at a big level, right? This is a big safe space for me. And there was black and brown people, and they were there for me, and they loved on me.
And then I started doing advocacy work, which really helped me stand on my 2 feet, because it really made me realize that I had a voice, and I have value, and I have worth, and I am important to my community. And it affects, you know, how you take care of yourself, whether you take your meds, how you interact with other people. It means a lot to be mentally healthy, especially living with HIV. It really is important.